The Blade movie is in the blender. Dog, this movie got announced in 2019, 5 years ago. And Marvel are still tripping over themselves to make it. Like, come on, brother. You have two-time Oscar winner Mahershala Ali. Get it together. But I guess it's not entirely their fault because the pandemic hit right after this movie was announced. And then the actors and writers strike hitting, further delaying it. 5 years in the blender. This movie has lost multiple actors, has reportedly had 6 different writers work on the script, and 2 directors drop out, with them searching for a third. It's to the point where people on Ali's team are starting to raise their eyebrows, with his attorney Shelby Weiser saying that them taking so long with this movie is the craziest thing that she's seen in her professional career. Wesley Snipes is even on Twitter making fun of how long this movie's taking. It's so bad that Mahershala Ali himself is on the prowl for directors, after not being impressed with the list of directors that Marvel showed him. At this point, I wouldn't be surprised if Ali is close to walking away from this project. Cause come on, the guy's 50, and I know black don't crack, but I highly doubt that he wants to be playing Blade well into his 60s. But he was around 45 when this movie got announced. Like, that's actually insane. If Marvel fumbles him, that would actually be kind of hilarious, because this wouldn't be the first time that Marvel fumbled Ali. He was so hard body as one of the main villains in Netflix's Luke Cage. He was so suave and smooth, but he had this underlying griminess to him that was so captivating to see play out. I wasn't familiar with Ali's game at this point, so after seeing him go crazy in that role, I was a big fan ever since.
Look how they massacred my boy.
But I guess it's a blessing in disguise that the Blade movie got delayed so much, because only just recently, Disney has finally decided to pull back from dropping too many projects, after a very apparent decline in quality post-Endgame, excluding some bangers, of course. So who knows what kind of hot dog water of a Blade movie they would have put out during that time. But it still baffles me that they're dragging their feet so much to get this movie made, but pumping out bullshit like Secret Invasion and focusing on dumb stuff like Agatha all along. I feel like if Mahershala Ali personally hits your line to do a Blade movie right after he got done winning an Oscar, then you should probably do whatever you need to do to get that movie made the right way and in a timely manner. Especially when you have an actor of this caliber showing such interest and love for the character that literally saved Marvel from going bankrupt back in the late 90s. You have a stellar actor that is 100% gonna put on a great performance, and then all you have to do is have some solid fight choreography that makes him look cool as hell while he's killing a bunch of vampires, with a banger score / music to go along with it. Like, that's literally it. But some motherfuckers always try to ice skate uphill, making things harder than they need to be. Because why at one point this movie was apparently going to be set in the 1920s? How are you going to give Blade his sauce if he's running around looking like a carnival showman? Looking like he's a part of a 4-man quartet, about to deliver a mean musical number. I know. It's hard to live up to Blade 1 and 2 and the early 2000s vibes that make those movies so fun. And then the fact that Wesley Snipes actually knew martial arts, contributing to those fire action sequences, doesn't help either. But it really can't be that hard to make a coherent Blade movie, right? Look, let's storyboard this. I'ma make it nice and simple for whatever dunderheaded Disney exec is making this more complicated than it needs to be. First, we're just gonna start off with Blade doing some cool shit to open the movie, you know, revving up his bike or fighting a bunch of vampires or some shit. I can't draw, so bear with me. This is a sword, kinda. And here's some vampires. Sure, you need some fangs. Boom. He's a buck teeth vampire. Don't worry about it. You start out with Blade, and he's doing some shit, doing some flips. Cool shit, you know? And then, after he gets done slaying a bunch of vampires, he runs in to some MCU heroes. And guess what? Blade has to be always the coolest guy in the room. These are supposed to be shades, but you get the picture. And his flat top, or whatever hair they decide to give him. So then you got a bunch of Marvel heroes, right? And he's just the coolest guy in the room. Always, 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 always. They're like, Blade, man, how do we stop this vampire threat? Where are they coming from? Hey, just follow me, follow my lead. Shit like that, you know? And then you go have another dust up with some vampires. Maybe bring a Marvel hero along. Maybe not. But like, whoa, this Blade guy's, he's kind of legit. Right? You following? And then you run into the boss vampire. It's like, whoa, who's this guy? He just laid Blade out flat on his back while still being the coolest guy in the room, you know? So he's still the coolest guy in the room. He goes to his hidey hole, recoups, you know? What? He finds like Wessler or Wesker, whatever his gun guy is. Wesker, I need a big blower on my hip to deal with this Dracula threat. I got you, man. He has long hair. It's like a dog ear. It's all right. He goes in, has another dust up, but then he finds his weakness. He doesn't beat him, but he finds the weakness, you know? And then he kills the main vampire. Mind you, all this is Blade being the coolest guy in the room at all times. And of course, you probably put some, softer moments in there, some vulnerability so he could be relatable and whatnot. And then maybe you throw in a love interest. Sure. We don't need that, but sure. I just storyboarded this, bro. It's that simple. I promise you. Just throw some good fight choreography in there, some good music, some good action. Like, come on, bro. It has to be that simple, right? That was probably a whole lot of nothing I just did, but you get the picture. I feel like beyond the delays, the hang up for this movie is trying to use the Blade movie to try to set up different things, like the rumored Midnight Suns movie, which I'm not necessarily against, because the Midnight Suns are an interesting concept for a team. Like a bunch of heroes who specialize in the supernatural weirdness, all banding together to keep a demonic threat at bay that regular superheroes just can't handle. Like, that's cool as shit. But making a proper Blade movie is more important than that, in my opinion. It just feels like they're making stuff more complicated than it needs to be. Just give him a big blower on his hip, a sword in his back, a long-ass swaggy trench coat, and have him dog walk some vampires, bro. It's really not that complicated. I just want to see a fire actor like Mahershala Ali do some badass shit as Blade, and not just be some faceless cameo like he was in Eternals. By the time this movie comes out, it's gonna be like 6 or 7 years after its announcement. Insanity. But that's pretty much it. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and share this video with a friend who's a massive Blade fan. Twos. This shit was ass.